Good evening, race fans. Now, with hundreds of choices for new cars, trucks, SUVs, and vans, it may be very, very difficult to choose a 2021 vehicle. But at Tuason Racing, we're here to help you simplify this. Today's episode, we're going to give you the best car editor's choice. So I'm JP Tuason, founder and CEO of Tuason Racing, and this is Riding Shotgun Conversations Season 2. Okay, so our guest tonight is a longtime friend, race car driver, and consumer editor for leading magazines, newspapers, and online media. So he's going to provide very relevant information for car shopping advice to his readers today. And of course, he is with Philippine Daily Inquirer, Inquirer Mobility, and Visor, and is obsessed with all things automotive. My dear friend, Mr. Botchi Santos, come on down. Woo! There we go. What's up, my friend? Long time no see.
Hi, JP. Good day to you. Good day to all of your fans and followers and viewers. Honored to be your guest in your show. Parang this is a rare opportunity for me. We always talk about cars and other people. We never really talk about ourselves, so to speak. So thank you for inviting.
Well, tonight you are the star. This is all about you, and to get things going, because I think a lot of the people watching tonight are also fans of your column, because I know I follow you all the time. So let's get started right away. How did your love for vehicles, race cars, all of these things that you have, how did it all start?
I think it started with the desire for mobility and freedom. So bicycles came first, riding bicycles around our community. And then from there, I saw a neighbor who was playing with remote control cars. So I transitioned to remote control cars while still riding bicycles. So this was happened from between 12 years old to about 16, 17 years old. And then by then, the progression from radio-controlled cars to full-size motor cars, happened naturally. So I remember my older brother, placed a magazine, a road and track magazine, on our bed, and I started reading it. It was about sports cars. So I think this was 1995. And ever since then, I've been hooked. I actually got into cars, reading about them, and genuinely interested about them, even before I could drive. Even before I could legally drive and knew how to drive. So, okay na, I've always admired cars, both as, a means, as a parang device, I guess, or a vehicle, diba, to bring you around, as much as, the engineering and the parang automotive four-wheel artwork or sculpture that they are. So, and here I am today, writing about them.
You've driven and gotten to experience a lot of amazing, amazing vehicles. But what was your first love?
That's hard. Probably first love car. Probably my old Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution. I remember early on,
Which
I attended a track day where you were there, and then you gave us tuition. This was before I was writing formally for any media outlet. So first love, yun.
And which Evo was that?
Evo 4.
Evo
Lancer
4.
Oh,
classic. Yeah. Classic. Do you regret selling that car?
Part of me, yes, but regret selling it. But then also part of me is like, if you never try something new, you'll always end up with the same things or with the same result, diba? And
That's right.
Parang life's an adventure. You should try out as many things as you can.
That's right. I totally agree. And I like what you've got in your garage now. We can talk about that a little bit later. Okay, so let's talk about some of the best cars that you've driven in your years of motoring journalism. What are some of these greatest cars?
Okay, siguro The number one that is on top of my list of amazing cars is a Lamborghini Aventador. When it was launched in 2011, Lamborghini brought us to Malaysia, to Sepang International Circuit. And, I had actually very low expectations from that car because I had driven the predecessor, the Murcielago, and I
Yeah.
wasn't too impressed by it. But the Aventador was just a huge leap forward for Lamborghini. It still felt Italian in that there was all of the passion, the drama, the excitement, but a good dose of German efficiency in engineering. Like, I didn't feel like it would just conk out on me on the racetrack. So that's my number one most memorable car that I've driven. Number
Awesome.
two would be a Porsche 911. So that's the one car I've driven in so many continents, in so many countries, all over the world. So if there's one car I'm very, very familiar with that I currently do not own and cannot get enough of, it is the Porsche 911.
Okay, let
And
me ask you though,
hmm,
which Porsche 911 are we talking about?
uh, probably the GT3.
Okay, a
I think
997, a 991, a
991 GT3.
991 GT3. Wow. I'm with you right there with the GT3 main vehicle.
Just a side story lang. No? In December 2011, I went to the United States for the launch of the 991 generation Porsche 911.
Yeah.
And then when I got home, I was engaged to my wife 2 weeks after. So
Wow.
parang at that trip, I bought a pasalubong for my wife. And parang yun na yun eh. Well, she was my fiance, my girlfriend. And then when I
Okay.
got back, I proposed to my girlfriend. She became my fiance, and then we got married na. So the 991 has a lot of the 991 911 has a lot of significance for me. Not just in my motoring life, but a lot of things happened with it around that time that I got to drive it in the United States. So, yun lang. Just wanted to share that.
Awesome.
Interesting trivia.
So my question to you is, will your wife allow you to buy a GT3?
Yeah, she said, just as long as I'm paying for it, not her.
Awesome. Good job. Good job. All right. Let's move on to the best cars that you've driven lately or reviewed lately. So I've got a nice list over here. So tell us about these.
Okay. Best car that I've driven so far in 2021 has to be the McLaren 620R. I've actually never ever driven a McLaren, and I didn't know what to expect. I was, to be honest, I had medyo low expectations about the brand because from other friends, they said yes, on one hand, it's amazing to drive, but it never, it doesn't feel as stable or confident as composed as say a 911. And I judge
Yeah.
everything against the 911. I think that is the benchmark of how any good, well sorted car should feel.
Right.
And supposedly any McLaren feels livelier. And I'm not a very good driver. I want when I
I don't
get
know about
inside the
that,
car,
man. You're a race car driver.
but I haven't won
Race car
anything.
driver, my friend.
But when I got inside the McLaren, it just felt right. It's I can keep talking about it, but cars, like anything, it's experiential. To the
Yeah.
lucky few who have the opportunity to try it, you should try driving, a McLaren, and particularly the 620R. It really, really felt planted and confident.
But is it something that you can actually drive on the streets, or is it really a race car like a GT3 RS?
Uh, I guess, if you don't have to contend with a lot of traffic and a lot of bad roads, then you could daily it. You could,
Yeah.
like if you live in Clark or Subic, where the roads are actually pretty decent and there's
Yeah.
not much traffic. Yes, you could use it, no problem. But like in Metro Manila, oh my gosh, I mean, you have to be very committed very dedicated to the car because I'll be honest, the McLaren, the interior is so noisy at idle because everything is carbon fiber. But other than
Right.
that, it's fantastic.
Okay. What else have you driven in 2021?
Tried the Audi Q7 Quattro. They've actually revised it for 2021. That felt really good. Parang you feel very safe and uh, like you're in a cocoon. Diba, we always talk about being in a bubble. And the Q7 feels like a mobile bubble. Look, for the times that we have no choice but to physically leave our homes for important errands. For me, the Q7 was perfect. Very comfortable, very roomy, and it feels very safe.
Nice. What else have you driven?
Uh, Recently, just for a short period of time, I got to try the Nissan Navara Pro 4X at
Yeah,
the
it looks really
purpose-built.
macho.
Yeah, very macho, no? I got to try the purpose-built off-road track in Ayala Mall's Manila Bay, which Nissan set up for us motoring journalists. And I was really amazed. Off-roading was something I got into the last 6 years ago.
Okay.
And the thrill is different because, when you're in fast cars, you're trying to outrun everyone else. But when you're off-roading, the main goal is, you know, everyone leaves together. You don't leave anyone behind. So it's a
Right.
good contrast to, getting into sports cars or racing and then getting into overlanding and off-roading. So the Navara Pro 4X, it looked really good, but more importantly, the performance on the obstacle courses was equally impressive. I was scheduled to borrow it, but then lockdown happened, so got schedules got messed up. So I'm looking forward to for Nissan to reschedule me to try out the Navara Pro 4X.
Nice. Any other cars that you found really interesting this year?
Okay, two cars, Toyota Innova and then the Toyota Wigo. This is
The
not lip
Toyota
service
Innova,
to
the
the number
supercar.
one. Yeah, yeah. The meme on social media now. To be honest, this is not lip service to Toyota, the number one car company in the Philippines and probably in the world, but really show me a household with a multiple car garage that has not have an Innova. Siguro 7 out of 10 multiple car garages will have an Innova because it's a really, really good vehicle, very fuel efficient, it's classless, it's very comfortable, and it's actually enjoyable to drive. Toyota just recently launched another facelift, and I enjoyed driving it. I am a fan of the Innova. Now the Wigo, on the other hand, people tend to say that the Wigo is a slow car, it's not suitable for the highway, and so on and so forth. Actually, I drove one from Manila to Tagaytay with my wife and my sister-in-law. It was perfectly fine. I just think a lot of new drivers who are still overly cautious end up with a Wigo because it is a very affordable car if you spec
Yeah,
it right.
yeah,
And it's actually an enjoyable car to drive, especially in the TRD Sportivo variant, although that does push it up significantly. I think
yeah,
JP, in Malaysia or in Indonesia, they race the Wigo also, I think.
yeah. In Indonesia, they've got Wigo race cars, but I think as an entry level car, it's a great start. I mean, I've got to buy a car for my daughter soon, and I'd be looking at a Wigo.
I think she'll kill you if you bought her a Wigo, but that's another topic.
Man, I think she's gonna take anything that daddy has to give her.
That's true, sabagay. And
Okay,
then,
and now we've got Mazda here, and you've got a couple of Mazdas in your garage,
well,
so
our
you've got
family
quite a bit of
actually, not just me.
experience.
We're a Mazda family. My father drives the CX-9. My wife drives a CX-30. My brother-in-law drives a CX-5. And my older brother, the one who introduced me to cars via that car magazine, he has a Mazda 6 station wagon and then a Mazda MX-5 Miata. So, they're very highly underrated cars, but they're really, really good to drive, very
Yeah.
efficient, and
I
very
think they really
trouble-free.
look good.
So,
They look good in and out, right?
yes, yes. And they pay a lot of attention to the driving dynamics. Like, I don't know of any other mass market uh, car company brand from Japan that pays that much attention to all of their cars to deliver really, really good driving experience. Even if it's just an entry level, 1.5 liter sedan or hatchback, all the way to their flagship CX-9 7-seat crossover SUV. They're all really, really good to drive compared to all other, competitors from the, Japanese or Korean brands. Big, big fan of Mazda.
Yeah, I agree. I think Mazda vehicles are, especially the SUVs, are great. I would consider one as well. We used to work with Mazda, and they were fantastic. I saw the photos in Facebook, and you were such a baller, my friend. How was that?
I live vicariously through my work. Uh, the Range Rover is special for me. When I was a kid growing up, I would see the older generation Range Rovers, and before there was, the Bentley Bentayga, the Rolls-Royce Cullinan, the Mercedes-Benz ML, which is now the GLC, GLE, GLS, BMW X5, X7, Audi Q7. There was the Range Rover.
Yeah.
And it just feels like it's on a totally different level in terms of image and presence. And I think now with the diesel engines, it feels really good. The previous ones prior to the diesel engines, that the gasoline V8 engine, they still felt heavy. But the ones with the V6 diesel engines, they just feel so effortless to drive. And they're fast. They're
Yeah.
really, really fast, even with just a V6 engine. And of course, very comfortable. You feel like you're in a mansion on
Yeah.
wheels. Yeah,
Agreed.
that's the best way to describe it.
It's
So,
like you're
special car.
floating. It's like you're
Yes.
floating, and when you arrive in a Range Rover, you've really arrived.
Yes,
Right?
agree, definitely.
Okay, and then we have a BMW X7. So how was the X7? I used to have an
Actually,
X5, and I'd like to see your comparison with the X5.
actually, the X7, I had it I just sat in it around the block. I was supposed to get it last weekend, but because
Okay.
of scheduling for work, I haven't had a chance yet to, sit down and really use it for an extended period of time. But it feels, very almost like the Range Rover in that sense, very elegant, especially with how BMW spec the X5 here in the Philippines, and then how they spec the X7. The difference is really significant, such that you don't feel like you could have gotten the X7's, ambiance and comfort and feel for slightly less money than X5. No, they really, really well segregated the two models. So initial impressions, it's very elegant. Yes, it feels very, safe. Also cocoon like the Q7 of Audi, but it has this, I don't know, the interior. I was a sucker for the interior. It has this regalness that the Range Rover also has, but in a much more Germanic package, of course.
Was it more sporty? Would you think it would be more sporty?
Definitely. I mean, it's a BMW, right?
That's right. It's a driver's car, right?
Driver's car. Yes.
Okay. So let's shift gears a little bit, and let's talk about what are your top 3 cars that you're excited to get your hands on this year or next year. And let's throw in the possibility of electric vehicles, because it seems that that's the future, right?
Definitely.
What are your
I mean,
top three, my
it's
friend?
not a matter of if, but a matter of when. So maybe in the Philippines, it'll take a lot longer because government legislation and infrastructure haven't caught up, but it will happen. So anyway, moving back to the topic at hand, the first car that I'm very excited about to try, I'm not sure if it's arriving this year or early next year, but it would be the Porsche, of course, Porsche 911 992 GT3. I'm actually excited about this car because it has, I believe for the first time, double wishbone front suspension.
That's right.
So it should
Yeah.
deliver greater levels of grip and steering
Wow, wow.
feel and,
Yeah.
you know, performance that is probably illegal to use on the road anyway, but you can feel it. That's the nice thing about Porsches. You can feel everything through the steering wheel, the seats, and sana they bring in a manual transmission. I don't know. That would make it even better. But that's the one car I'm very, very excited about to try out. For
I'm totally with you. You know, the GT3 just gets better and better.
unfortunately, JB, the price gets more expensive.
Yeah, that's why I gotta have a hit the ride with somebody along that gets one of these
All
cars. But
right.
yeah,
We live
definitely a
vicariously
GT3.
through our rich friends.
There you go. All right.
So next
What about
car, of
the
course.
yep, the next one?
The next one is the Toyota Yaris GR4. Now,
Yes.
uh,
Woohoo! Excited for this too.
eto siguro maybe, if I work hard, I can put a down payment for it by the end of the year, and
Right.
then finance the balance. The problem is, if news from the grapevine, Toyota originally intended to bring in 170 units, and then it got trimmed down to 150 units, and then it got trimmed down again, supposedly to 120 units. So by the time I am actually ready to pay to buy one, wala na, ubus na. No more units available. So,
I hear the wait list is quite long.
yeah, every review that I've read or watched a video of online, glowing praises for the Yaris. This is the right sort of car Toyota needs. Exciting, stylish, unique, aggressive, but
Yeah.
in an affordable package. Because that's Toyota for you and me, diba?
Yeah. And I think this car is going to be very special in the long run as well. It'll be a collector's car because it's not super mass produced, right? They've got limited quantities of this car. They're not even
Yes.
launched in a lot of markets.
Yes. I mean, they won't have it in the US.
Yeah.
If they launched that car in the US, they would take the entire production allocation already.
Yeah.
So,
That's right. That's right. So anybody that's lucky enough to get their hands on this car should keep it for the long run.
and let me and JP drive it.
That's right. That's right. Well, hopefully we get our chance to get our hands on one of these units from our friends at Toyota. So wink, wink. There you go.
Wink, wink.
All right. And of course,
Audi e-tron RSGT. I have a small confession, no? In certain angles, the e-tron RSGT looks slightly better than the Porsche Taycan, which shares the same platform. So it might be heresy to say this, but I've heard of people also who are die-hard, hardcore Porsche fans, and they've said the same thing. On certain angles, certain colors, the e-tron looks better than the Taycan. And I've driven the Taycan. Performance is amazing. I literally hurt my neck when I drove that. I'm sure that the Audi will be just the same with, a more Audi, less hardcore flavor, but just as impressive, just as fast, maybe even more stylish.
so do you think the battle of the electric vehicles, who would be the best?
Too soon to say, but I think for like mass market, Nissan has a good head start with their Leaf EV, which they launched a few weeks ago. I'm also actually excited to try that out.
Yeah, me
For the
too.
for the performance cars, it was in the news this morning. BMW launched the i40 or i4 M50. Is it the first electric M car? That should
Okay.
also be very exciting to drive. 540 horsepower in a 4 Series coupe body style. So
Wow.
should be. I mean, it's things are still happening. Things are still unfolding. So too soon to say. But suffice
Okay.
to say, we both. I'm sure you and I, we want to try all of them on track.
For sure. For sure. All right, so we're now getting to the closing part of our show, Botch, and I think what I would like to ask you as we wrap this up is, for car buyers out there, now is as we're starting to come out of the pandemic, right? We've been at home for 15 months now. People are starting to think about going back to work. People are thinking about traveling again. Car sales are picking up. What would be your best 3 tips for people looking at buying cars, whether it's new or used?
Well, first and foremost, you have to uh, identify what your needs are. Like, you know, let's say even with an open budget, but you need to bring people around aside from yourself. And you can't obviously buy a sports car, right? So you have to identify your needs very clearly. Secondly, is you have to work with a budget. You know, uh, COVID will be around for a while. The business environment, though picking up, there's still a lot of uncertainty. So it's best to be very frugal with our money. So let's not splurge. Let's buy something that we really need, something that is practical, something that is, as they say, good bang for the buck.
Right.
Best options, best features, especially safety features for the amount of money that uh, you can or you're willing to spend. And then third, uh, after sales, you have to check, at least in your immediate circle and online, which brand near you gives the best after sales service. Because if you have a superior product but lousy after sales, then the ownership experience will be very bad for you. Diba? Because at some point, you will need to bring it to the dealership to have it fixed or serviced or repaired or whatever. And if they don't give you good service, then the experience of owning that car is ruined. And then last but not least, get out there and as much as possible, try every car that's in your short list. Now, it's very difficult because of COVID. So extra suggestion, observe social distancing, get your vaccine so you're extra protected. And well, if you can, rather than going to the dealership, try your friends or family members' cars that you're considering buying. Because at the end of the day, for me, my idea of the right car, for me, will be different from you, will be different from JP's, and so on and so forth. So really, you have to go out there and experience it because cars are, I tell this to people, they're the top 3 most expensive purchases the average person will ever make in their lives. Number one would be housing, and then maybe another one would be education.
Right.
Another one would be a dream vacation or getting married, but a car will definitely be on that list of biggest, most expensive, most important purchases one will ever make in their lives. So there you go.
Agreed. All right, so there you go, Mr. Botchi Santos. Botch, can you invite our viewers? Where can they check out your articles?
Okay, you guys can follow me on uh, my articles on the Philippine Daily Inquirer. It comes out every Wednesdays and sometimes on Sundays. In the motoring section, we have our Inquirer Mobility website, but the uploading of our print articles onto the website is a bit delayed. Another venue where you can follow me is on the website where I'm a contributor as well. It's called Visor. news without the glare, mobility news without the glare. So on Visor, many more things are happening there because it's online. We're able to upload stories faster. And then, of course, you can follow me on social media, Botchi Santos on Facebook, and then Botchi San on Instagram, where I just post cars and travel and food pics. So there you go.
All right. So there you go, Mr. Botchi Santos. Please don't forget to like and follow us on our social media accounts at Tuason Racing. And of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel at Tuason Racing TV. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you're updated on our latest happenings. So please tune in to Riding Shotgun Conversation Season 2 every Wednesday at 8 p.m. And if you have any topics or guests that you'd like us to have on our show, please put it in the comments below. Guys, this has been JP Tuason of Tuason Racing. See you at the next episode. Botchi, thanks a lot, my friend.
Thank you.
Peace.
Thank you for inviting.